Tyler, why is Batman the best superhero?
He's not.
Yes, he is.
Oh, we're going to have this debate?
I'm just saying he's easily the most recognizable, most impactful character in all of comic books, all of media. Even.
I'm a big fan of where this is going, first of all, because we get to talk about the recently released trailer for the Snyder Cut.
Yes.
But we'll get to that later.
Well, when we record this, it'll be the Monday after DC Fandom.
No, I mean, I'm saying we'll get to it later.
No, but I'm saying that's why DC is a lot on my mind right now. Because they showed a lot of cool stuff. I wish they would have shown more of the Justice League because
I would have liked to see something about the Green Lantern, the reported
HBO. Shut up. the HBO Max series, right?
The Green Lantern, Green Lantern Corps.
The way that they pitched, because that was supposed to be a movie, and the way that they pitched that was it was Lethal Weapon, but in the Green Lantern universe.
Oh, who did they? Oh, you know the guy who played.
I know one of the guys is from Watchmen.
Yeah.
The guy that's supposed to play Jon Stewart. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know you're
not Dr. Manhattan, because that is Yahya, and he is
Abdul Mateen II.
He is Black Manta.
Yeah.
But now I can't think of the guy who's the other guy in Watchmen.
All I know is that if I'm creating some sort of
what if it was Don
televised
Johnson?
World or a movie, and I get to pick like who I'm writing for in terms of like the characters and the actors who will play those characters, I will find or make a part for Yahya Abdul Mateen II. That guy's got some fucking chops. You know?
Yeah, he was great in
what are
both. I think he did a good job with what he had with Aquaman, but he was great in Watchmen.
Oh my God. Yeah. Hey, what are we doing here, Jake?
Well, we're 2 minutes 20 seconds in. If they don't know what it is by now, then I can't help them.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to do some sort of intro.
Yes, this is the Bunker Audio Log, the Patreon exclusive show. Thank you for your $2. And hopefully we are entertaining you, talking about something that's not conspiracy related. Just
shooting the shit.
Just two friends hanging out in a bunker.
And DC Fandom happened this past weekend. And
when we're recording this.
Both Jake and I are big, comic book fans and everything, and so I thought it would be fun to do. I say the more. Listen, if you're gonna cough up the bucks, I feel like we should create as much content for you as possible, and I thought it'd be fun to talk about some comic book stuff, comic book news, and as we spoke about in the beginning, I read a lot of good impressions of the Batman trailer. And as Jake was saying at the beginning of the episode, which I highly disagree with, is that Batman is the best superhero.
He doesn't need to be for me to be. No, I'm kidding. He is the best. But
no.
He's the best because he's a psychopath.
Okay, so first things first. Are we just talking about DC?
I mean, I don't know. I've always leaned more to DC than I have Marvel.
So you would say Batman is overall your favorite superhero?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say Spider-Man is up in the top 5.
Mm-hmm. Boring.
I know. I'm so boring. You do realize I have a Brother Voodoo action figure, so I can get into the deep cut Marvel shit. Okay, so don't check
Brother
my
Voodoo
comic book
actually
knowledge.
Became the Sorcerer Supreme for a while.
He was Dr. Voodoo,
and they were talking about introducing him Jericho Drum in the forthcoming Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I would be into that.
That'd be cool as
I
fuck.
love Brother Voodoo. I like that character a lot. I actually pitched a Netflix show of that to my buddy.
I'd say
pitches and shows.
I'd say my top 3 superheroes are let's do top 5.
Top 5 superheroes?
Yeah, we're generally it's DC Marvel, so
What about if I wanted to put Invincible in there? I wouldn't, but it's an Image comic.
Yeah, I know.
I will say, having Comixology is some of the best money I've invested.
See,
it's
that's
only
the thing.
$6
Is
a
like,
month.
there's way
I've been
more
reading
than
a lot more
DC and
comics.
Marvel out there.
No, yeah, and you can find them.
But just to keep it
on
brief,
Comixology.
Let's do top 5 DC Marvel.
That's lame.
Okay, so I'm going to do... Okay,
5 to 1, right?
Your top one is Batman. Now tell us why in a little bit, just a little section, little bit of, stuff, why Batman is the best.
Well, I was going to go 5 to 1.
Oh, let's do that. You start with 5. I'm going to get a pen.
I don't want to do this.
Why not?
I can't think of this off the top of the dome.
Well, that's why I can go first, I guess.
Well, 5 would probably be Daredevil.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I've always liked Daredevil.
Yeah.
I even liked the shitty Ben Affleck movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, always been a huge fan of Daredevil. Absolutely loved the Netflix series. I think season 2 kind of dipped for me a little bit in quality. Like season 1 was fucking great, and season 2 kind of dipped a little. I think if they would have just stuck with the Punisher stuff and not Punisher and Elektra, if they would have saved her for season 3,
yeah,
and the whole thing with that, I think that would have been better. And I think that would have bled into the Defenders better, personally. But I really, really like the character of Matt Murdock. And Daredevil's weird because Daredevil is just nothing but sadness. That book is I don't care what era it is. I mean, the most recent ones have been like more fun and like swashbuckly type stuff. But yeah, like the Frank Miller stuff, there's another one. I can't think of the other one.
Frank Miller famously said that one of the things he really liked about Daredevil was the whole Catholicism and and all the pageantry and stuff and whatnot, and the guilt, and how that played into like his existence, his entire existence, and what he does and why he does it.
Yeah. Daredevil's number 5.
I'm gonna have to say Daredevil's a really, really good one. But I'm gonna have to go with Ghost Rider. And I'm gonna go.
I like how we both went kind of deep. We went a little deep to start.
Well, my fourth one is actually deeper than that, but we'll get to that. Ghost Rider, I'm talking about all the iterations. I'm talking about even all the way back to the dude with the horse the white costume.
Yeah, but everybody confuses this.
But
everybody remembers the Danny Ketch version of Ghost Rider.
Oh yeah, him. But he's who I really got into Ghost Rider with.
But because of the movies, people are more familiar with Johnny Blaze.
Johnny Blaze is great. Danny Ketch is great. Robbie Reyes is fucking great.
Oh, with the car?
Dude, Robbie Reyes, I just got this one. I'm going to loan you a book. It's called The Mighty Avengers, The Final Host. And I don't know if you read, like, in the last 2 years, they introduced something called The Avengers 1 Million BC. And it was basically, it's Odin with Mjolnir. Okay? It's a Phoenix entity. Agamotto, who is the Sorcerer Supreme, so the original Agamotto.
Yeah.
A Ghost Rider, but he's a dude. He's like a caveman, but he rides a woolly mammoth.
Is the woolly mammoth on fire?
Yeah, I presumably. Starbrand is just like a big like Hulk kind of character, and then there's an Iron Fist, who's this chick. And that's the original, like, Avengers, okay? And later on in the book, Robbie Reyes has to, like, join up with them, and he is a really fun character. I hadn't had much exposure to him. So I'd say he has edged Danny Ketch in my mind, even though Danny Ketch is the one that I really, really just tripped out on when I was a kid. That motorcycle is fucking badass. But I mean, it's
kind of funny because it's such a...
But even Johnny Blaze's motorcycle was kind of cool because it's like it's a dude with a skull fire.
It's just,
with a skull on fire.
Ghost Rider feels like it's so 90s.
Yeah, it totally is.
So 90s.
Oh,
and that's kind of what makes it
Darkhawk
with the idea of like, here's a fucking flaming skull and it's on a motorcycle with flaming wheels.
Yeah,
fucking cool.
Yeah, and he's got a flaming chain.
You know what? I'm a sucker for
Fucking
that shit.
sign me up for that shit.
I like the Nick Cage movie when I was a kid, and then I got older and I was like, this is trash.
And here's the thing, like
I think that's bad. Watch Spirit of Vengeance.
they have actually referred more to the Wild West Ghost Rider as the Phantom Rider to differentiate them, because Ghost Rider is generally perceived and usually portrayed as a guy who's possessed by Zarathos, the demon spirit, and the Phantom Rider back in the Wild West, he just used like parlor tricks to make everybody think he was like immortal and a ghost. Like he used like, trick photography and other things.
That's lame. Why wouldn't they have a Wild West character? Demons have been around forever. You could make that's my thing. I think
they should redo the Wild West Ghost Rider. Phantom Rider into a Ghost Rider.
Out of this, can I tell you the pitch that Luke and I came up with for Batman?
Sure.
When we're done with all this, because
when we're done,
I'm a big fan of putting these characters in different time periods. I think it's really an interesting take. So we made like a Batman Western, and I'll tell you about it.
Kingdom Come was one of the best. I mean, it was set in the future.
But anyway,
Gotham by Gaslight. Okay, so number 4 for you.
Number four. I started so strong with Daredevil. Now I gotta. So I kind of have an idea. Yeah. Okay. So I definitely know. The fourth one's the tough one. I know the rest of the 5. I have it mapped out in my brain. Number 4.
4 is going to be tough for me too. I had one, but I don't know if. Yeah, go ahead. While we're waiting for Jake to come up with number 4.
Okay. All right. I think I got it.
Okay.
I would say Deadpool is number 4.
Okay.
I've always liked him as a character. I think what I love about him is he's the most unlikely character to get a major motion picture, let alone 2. Because he's
very successful,
much like Ghost Rider. He's so 90s, and he is, if written improperly, an extremely annoying character that can overstay its welcome. It has to be done right. It has to be executed right. But I think what I've always liked about Deadpool was the fourth wall stuff and how self-aware the character is to never take itself too seriously, if at all seriously. I think that's what he was, a nice break from like the dark and brooding shit. And there are some storylines of his that kind of veer that way because comic books do that. They have to have their like more air quotes serious stories about a guy that just heals fast. But I've always
shouldn't they save those for Wolverine?
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Yeah, I didn't really hop on that until later, but I've always liked Deadpool. So he'd be my number 4. Technically, he's an anti-hero, but whatever. He's become more of a hero as he's gotten more popular. It's like pro wrestling. He was a bad guy, and now he's a good guy, and now he's a bad guy again, I think, in the comics. What's your 4?
Well, I kind of wrestled with this one. And I think I'm going to have to go a little known. He's becoming more popular by the day, but a little known character in DC history called Metamorpho.
What is this shit?
Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay. Well, he's this dude, and he was in Batman and the Outsiders, so you should know him. He's a dude with like he looks like he's made out of clay, but like his head is white, and then like his top 2 halves of his body are like different colors, and then his legs are different. Like they're made. He's basically a dude who can change into anything. Okay, and they recently came out with these DC minifigures series for Legos, and you know I'm a nut for Legos. And Metamorpho was one of the ones that they included, and they had like. They had 1939 Batman, and they had a Batmite figure, just like all these really cool. They had Simon Baz, Green Lantern, who's a newer Green Lantern. But it was just really fun, and I could never find Metamorpho, like never, ever, ever. And I spend a lot of fucking money on these goddamn things, you know, because I like having all the minifigures. I like having all the DC characters.
Here we go again, brick by brick with Tyler Allen.
Right, no shit, right? But I really like having them, and so I kept at it. And one day, probably like a year after they came out, so they were probably almost all gone, like off the shelves. You know, they after a while they just pull shit. I found like one at a Walgreens, and I was like, you know what, taking my chance. And I took it, and I bought it, and I brought it home, and I was just like, man, this is literally my last chance. And it was Metamorpho. But here's the other reason. I love Half Price Books. We should get them to sponsor this. But I love Half Price Books, and they have a lot of these like masterpiece books or like, you know, essential books, and they're all black and white, and they're like, you know, 264 pages. And they're, you know, they start like the very beginning of like a character like Daredevil or Ghost Rider or Fantastic Four, stuff like that. And they had one for a Metamorpho comic book back from like the 60s. And it is so fucking like hep, dude. It is like, hey, baby, daddy-o. Like, he talks like, it's insane, man. He talks like like a dude from like a biker movie, like what Hollywood the other bikers like talked like, and it's hilarious. So I'd have to say that's my number 4.
Who?
Metamorpho. I'm going to look him up so you can see him, so you know who I'm talking about. Well, you tell me.
So this is weird. I didn't expect to have more Marvel guys than DC because I've always seen myself as more of a DC reader.
Traitor.
But number 3 would be Hal Jordan's Green Lantern.
Who?
Hal Jordan's Green Lantern. Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
That's your number 3?
Yeah. I feel like I've always identified with Hal Jordan in a sense that sometimes I can be good at something and I get a little too cocky and I write checks my ass can't cash, as they would say. But I think what I am good at, I do excel, but I just need a little bit more to get me there to greatness. I'm not quite there yet. So I need my power ring, which, by the way, I have all of them now. Metamorpho. What a weird character. Anyway, Green Lantern is my number 3. Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. Not that I don't like Jon Stewart. I just always identify with Hal more.
That's really interesting. And the reason why, not only is it an interesting pick, but my number 3 is also Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
Oh, nice.
So, in the interest of being different.
No, you can have the same one.
Oh, okay.
Why would you put Hal Jordan there?
I don't. When I was a kid, we didn't read a lot of DC comic books. We read mostly Marvel, and that was because there weren't like a lot of comic book specialty shops. So we went to like newsstands, like QT and stuff like that. And so we would take what they had, and most of it was Marvel stuff. Like they were the real popular, like X-Men and Spider-Man, and they were the real popular big sellers. So most of the newsstand market, as they call it, and then specialty comic book stores were the direct market. Okay, direct sales. All right, and you could tell by the difference is that the covers of the newsstand sales would have a UPC cover or a UPC code.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Skew, as they say.
So we weren't really into DC, but I knew all the DC characters, you know, just from reading about them and everything and reading some of their stories, and Justice League and Super Friends when I was growing up. And when I was a kid, they had this Super Friends lineup, or it was Superpowers, DC Superpowers. I can't remember. Super Friends. I can't remember, but it was like this toy line, and they were all these action figures, and every one of them had like an action. Like you squeezed the Flash's arms together, and his legs like went all crazy. And Batman like had a karate chop, and so did Robin, and just stuff like that, right? Okay, Superman like punched, and Green Lantern, you pulled his legs together, you pushed, you squeezed his legs together, and he would do this.
He'd kick up, and punch up.
He had the ring.
Yeah. And
he would just kind of punch up like with his, it looked like a punch a little bit, but it was more him just pulling up the ring. And it was one of my favorite toys. It was one of my favorite action figures. And so when I was wearing the Green Lantern symbol on my shirt well before motherfucking Sheldon Cooper and those assholes on Big Bang Theory, okay? Way before, dude. I was walking into Target one day with a Green Lantern shirt on, and this fucking lady walked by me, and she was like, nice Sheldon shirt. And I was like, fuck you, lady. Anyway. But
I mean, I don't hit women, but
when Ryan Reynolds came out with his movie, I was so fucking excited, dude. I wore my shirt, you know, I mean, I was so excited, and it was just such a shit show.
yeah.
I mean, even he's admitted that, but I would have to say he's my number 3 because I also bought a book, and it was the original, the complete original adventures of Green Lantern. It was literally like the stories from the 50s.
I don't know.
And they're insanely bad. Like there's one where he can't stop a car because it's yellow. Like a whole car. He gets knocked out by a lamp because it's yellow, and it gets through his shield. These thugs, these common robbers, like, throw this at him. Here you go, Green Lantern.
Frank Miller, his All-Star Batman and Robin, The Boy Wonder. That's the full fucking title. That was a book where I think that was the moment where Frank Miller went fucking insane. Because the latter part of his career, he's been writing some really racist and really weird shit.
He's very, very...
I would say at the very least Islamophobic.
He's very right-winger.
Holy Terror. Like that is... Oh, boy.
Yeah.
But he wrote a funny bit in that book where Batman is actually a shithead in Frank Miller's universe. And he paints himself yellow. And he paints the room he's in yellow. So when Green Lantern shows up, he can't do anything to him. And I was like, that was actually a funny bit, but it also points out how dumb comics could be.
I always really
the color yellow fucks up the Green Lantern.
Right. I always really liked the fact that was like, I would explain to people why Green Lantern was my favorite. Like this is that Sinestro's ring uses yellow shit, and he can't. He's defenseless against green shit. And Green Lantern has a green ring and is defenseless against yellow shit. So the very first fucking issue of Green Lantern should have been, hey, I'm Sinestro. Hey, I'm Green Lantern. Here's 2 knives going at each other. Neither one of them can stop them, so they're both dead. And I always said, like, that was really funny how they turned. And then when I read the first series, it's just him, like, fighting, like, dudes, like, trying to steal technology from various aircraft and shit.
Well, it's funny. I watched.
It's not the Sinestro doesn't show up for till like the 60s.
Well, I was watching, and they've done this in the comic books too, where I was watching the Green Lantern animated series that ran,
which was cool as hell. Which
I wish would have got more than one season. It was actually a fun cartoon.
Yeah.
But he's teamed up. It's Sinestro training Hal, or he's at least been trained for a little bit. But they're teamed up, and it's them and Kilowog. And they're fighting the Red Lanterns. And I always liked the Red Lanterns too. And I always liked that dynamic. And I love
really invigorated.
The Lantern universe is fucking cool to me.
Yeah. Well, they really invigorated like the Green Lantern idea with whoever was it, Jeff Johns?
It was Jeff Johns who
had the idea of like all the different spectrums, the orange,
night,
and the blue. Yeah. That was fucking cool, man.
Black as death.
Good job on you, buddy.
Well, no, and you know what's funny is myself and some friends, we pitched an idea for a Green Lantern video game where it was kind of like an MMORPG, or maybe I think it might have just been an RPG,
right?
But it was going to be like multiplayer. But the idea was you create a character and then you pick what lantern you want to be.
Like you go through some adventures and then pick one, or you pick one at the beginning.
You pick one at the beginning.
Okay. Well, you suck.
Well, I guess. Oh, that's funny. You could add that mechanic. It'd be like you have to make a choice early on in the game, and then whatever choice you are is the lantern you are. That's a brilliant idea.
Because then you would never have the same gameplay experience.
Yeah. But the idea was that where you were...
It'd be a short beginning.
You were different lanterns, and you guys are constantly like having faction problems because all the lanterns hate each other.
That book that you let me borrow, was it Green Lantern Year 1?
Earth 1.
Earth 1.
Yeah. That's why I love
highly
Green Lantern.
recommend that to anybody who's listening who likes Green Lantern.
Because it's a whole new take on it, and
Jake
I really
was telling me about it, and I was like, yeah, sure. And I took it home. I read it in one sitting
It's good.
as soon as I got home.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Adam actually got that for me for my birthday because he
What's
knows
up,
how much I
Adam?
like Green Lantern. Number 2,
Number 2 for you.
Spider-Man. Easy. Spider-Man's my number 2. I
Who's
grew
your
up.
number one? Superman? No, I'm just kidding.
I grew up with the cartoon, the radioactive Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
That one. I grew up with the Raimi movies, which I attest to this day are still fucking awesome. Third one,
I haven't watched
even
them
the
in
third
a
one,
long
as bad as
time.
the third one is, it's
It's
still
still kind
enjoyable.
of neat, yeah.
But Spider-Man 1 and 2, I argue still hold
Sandman
up.
shit in Spider-Man 3 is awesome.
Watch Spider-Man 2's train sequence. Tell me it doesn't hold up because it's a good fight scene. Is it full of cheese? Sure it is. It's a Sam Raimi movie. It's going to have cheesy shit in it. That's just the deals.
We didn't know what superhero movies could be at that point.
I played.
He kind of followed the Superman
Yeah.
from the 80s, 70s, and 80s template of like grandiosity and shit.
I read the comics, not religiously, but I read a good chunk. Venom is one of my favorite villains. I love him, and that came from Spider-Man. And
I just recruited him in Marvel Strike Force.
your stupid mobile games. I played the 2018 game that came out on PS4, which is fucking great. I really liked Homecoming. I really enjoyed Far From Home. I loved him in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
I've always really, really liked Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And Spider-Man would be my favorite if Batman didn't exist. So, there you go.
Well,
Top that.
number 2 for me has got to be Thor. A lot of it is the fact.
Thor was my favorite MCU character.
Ooh. Before or after Ragnarok, or both?
I liked him since the first Avengers.
Okay.
Because the first Thor, I was like, meh.
Yeah,
But I think he really got to. They showcased him in the Avengers.
Yeah, he got
movies.
a
He was
little
great
bit
in the
of-
team up movies.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So, I'm Norwegian. A lot of my heritage is, and so I.
By the fact, I dressed up as Thor to the first Avengers movie. Thank you very much. And I was Thor for Halloween.
That's awesome.
And I was Thor at my graduation party because I got way too drunk.
I got drunk after I watched the first Thor movie. What did you do?
I was in high school, so
See, shut up.
no. But I'm saying I got drunk.
I was getting high in the parking lot. No, I'm sorry.
We had a graduation party after I graduated college, and I still had that Thor
I
costume.
sprinkled cocaine on my popcorn.
Exactly. And I put the thing on, and I talked like Thor all night. I was like, Thor, son of Odin. And then a friend of mine had a fake sword that I had to go, Heimdall! He's my ride home. So don't check me on Thor fandom, sir.
I wasn't gonna.
Tell
douche.
me why you like Thor.
Shut up. God, I didn't do this to any of your crap. Fuck.
Well, you should have. It would have been for good
I
content.
guess. No, I don't think so, you jerk.
So why do you like Thor?
Thor, anyway, I'm Norwegian, so I've always kind of liked myths and things like that from, like, you know, the old times, like gods and monsters and shit like that. Zeus and, you know, the Greek myths and all that, all those things.
That's why I like Thor too, is I like mythology.
And I read a book when I was growing up about Thor and Loki, and this is well before the MCU, well before, like 30 years before. And it was a really excellent book. And there was this one story where Thor is traveling with Loki and these two, like, mortal humans, and they're on their way to visit, like, the giant's, like, castle or something. And they end up going against they end up meeting up with this giant, and to wake him up the next day, because he has to get, like, the bag unsealed so they can eat their food, Thor caves the giant's skull in that they met up with.
Jeez.
But he still doesn't wake up. So then they go and get to...
Continue.
Then they get to the hall, and they have a drinking contest that Thor goes against another giant, and no matter how much he drinks, he can't, like, even it doesn't even seem like he's.
I'm sorry. Stop it. That's just making faces at me.
It doesn't even seem like he's anything is gone from his horn or whatever. And then he challenges this cat or something, and he tries to raise the cat off its legs to show how strong he is or whatever. And the cat doesn't move all of his legs off the floor. And so Thor is just dejected because like these three things like he's really good at, like he's sucked at. And like he leaves the hall after they stay the night. And they get back, and on their way out of the land, and they're never going to go back to that land again, because the guy who takes them out reveals himself as the leader of the giants that Thor was looking for. And he's like, don't even try and fuck with me right now, because you can't, okay? By the way, I was the dude who, like, hooked up with you when you got to this land, and I was the dude who, like, made sure you couldn't win any of those contests. When you caved in the skull of me or whatever you thought I was, that was, like, you destroyed, like, you created a crater, like, on the moon. Okay, like that's my magic that I had to use against you and stuff. And when you were having the drinking contest, you literally drained every ocean on the planet Earth like by like 10 meters. Like that's my magic. But you're so powerful and stuff. So now I'm gonna banish you from my land because I can never let you come here because you'll kill us all. And he goes, turn around, and he turns around, and he never gets back to that land ever again. Those giants are safe. But it's just really cool that he had to use magic to show Thor, like, that you're not the most powerful, even though he reveals to him at the end of the story, like, you are actually the fucking best, and that's why I have to fucking banish you from this place. Like, that's a really cool... It's a really cool
into
myth.
The arrogance of Thor.
Yeah,
and that's always been his character arc.
Yeah, and in the myths that I read, like he's a dickhead. He's a fucking
Thor's an asshole.
Oh yeah. He's not nice at all. Yeah, it's pretty insane. Like Balder in the myths, but I really enjoy. You
would actually you don't have a PlayStation, but you'd really like the new God of War because that plays heavy into Norse mythology.
Walt Simonson's run on Thor back in the like 80s is legendary. It was when Beta Ray Bill was introduced. And
you know that Christian Bale's going to be in the villain in Love and Thunder.
We don't know who he's going to be,
but he's not going to be Beta Ray Bill. He's going to be a villain.
No, he's not going to be Beta Ray Bill.
They confirmed.
Why would you want him to be Beta Ray Bill?
They never announced the villain.
Even his voice on a CGI character, his voice isn't that distinctive.
I want to see villain. I want to see him be a villain, and I want to see if he could do what Josh Brolin did with Thanos.
I want to see more. I want to see more. Shit, what are they called? Elders of the Universe. Because the Collector's dead. The Grandmaster, who knows? But there's like 100 of them. There's the Champion. Anyway, the Gardener.
I was going to say the New Gods, but that's DC. That's Ditko.
What?
Steve Ditko's New Gods is what I was thinking of.
No, New Gods is Jack Kirby.
It's
Kirby, okay. You know,
right.
I know what you're talking about. They're doing that movie.
That's DC, though.
Yeah, they're doing that. Those are really great.
Well, that's the thing. Steppenwolf is technically a New God.
Yeah. They're doing some really... if you read some of those early like Kirby stories, the New Gods, you can find like collections for cheap at half-price books.
I've never...
But, dude, they're so amazing. Like, they're wacky. They're fucking far out, man. Kirby, I know that he wasn't on drugs because it's, like, documented. But, man... I would have loved to have been on the drugs he was on.
It was probably like, it was the 70s, wasn't it?
Dude, yeah.
When the New Guys was coming out?
Yeah, hopefully they make that
Kirby,
movie.
Yeah, that's the thing is Kirby, people don't really talk about Kirby as a writer, or people only refer to him as, like, his claim to fame was Spider-Man. And that's why I confuse it with Ditko, because him and Ditko did Spider-Man.
Well, technically, if you know what the Marvel method is, Kirby had to write. Because Stan Lee gave him, like, an outline of stuff, and then... Okay, go draw it, and then he added dialogue.
That he
afterwards.
added it into the bubbles,
huh?
Like Stan Lee, like added it in the bubbles.
He would add the words, like the dialogue and stuff.
I heard about that. I don't know if that's true or not. I've heard.
Well,
that.
no, it's not saying that like Stan Lee didn't have anything to do with it.
No, I know, but I don't know if that because I've heard that before. I don't know if that actually happened.
Well, okay, he would give him like, okay, first page, I want like a splash page of this.
By the way,
huh?
Number 1. It's Batman.
Your number one.
My number one's Batman. What's your number one?
Did you already say why you think Batman's the best?
I mean, I can't explain. Okay, I've explained it before. I did a whole podcast about Batman. The reason I love Batman is it takes. Now, yes, I will say that Bruce Wayne definitely suffered some serious trauma from the death of his parents. So I think but what can be so inspiring about Batman's story is his ability to take something that happened to him and take this trauma, and it's a really cool survivor story of him saying, I'm not going to let this, it is going to define his life, but he's going to do what he can to not have a kid feel the way that he feels. He's going to do his best to not make another orphan in Gotham. And he just keeps doing that over and over again. Now, you could argue that he has psychotic tendencies to constantly...
It's also kind of boring after a while.
And he's a masochist. He likes pain. He likes hurting himself. Well, that's the way I look at it, because why else would somebody dress up like a bat and fight these psychopaths?
You sound like a character from a Batman movie, which, by the way, there's a new Batman movie coming out.
Another reason I love Batman is he's able to do that, and he's strict in his morals, unless you're Zack Snyder. He's strict in his morals. He will even if it would kill him, he would not kill another human being. That's now you could argue when he shoots up cars and everything, whatever. But you know what I mean. You get the point of the character.
What did you tell me about the new Batman movie? Like, finally, we're getting a solo. You said we hadn't had a solo movie since...
haven't had a solo Batman movie since Dark Knight Rises, which was in 2012.
And I asked him, 7 wasn't enough for you yet?
No. That's the beauty.
Because BVS wasn't Batman was just in it, man.
That's the beauty of Batman.
No,
he is a character that could be constantly told in a different way.
It would have been cool if it would have been turned in a different way. What is this?
Yes, it is. Gotham by Gaslight wasn't cool for you,
but that's an animated movie. What is
no? It isn't. It's a book. It's what I'm saying.
I understand
Batman
that.
is a character.
Yes, I know that it was a book. I mentioned it earlier. I know it was a book.
But what I'm saying is, there's so many single graphic novels of Batman and so many single shot stories.
What is this
because
based
he's a character
off of,
that can be recreated?
Okay.
And constantly be reinvented.
What is the Batman based off of? Do you know? I have no idea.
No, I don't know. I have no details.
So it's a completely new, as far as we know.
As far as we know, yeah, it's its own continuity. As far as we know, we don't know what it's pulling.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, like, what. I mean,
all we know is the Riddler's the main villain.
Everybody praised
Penguin's
it, and I was like,
to be in it. Penguin is going to play a part in it,
I guess.
And that's all I know right now.
Yeah, come on, man. I mean, you have so many other characters that you could have. Like,
I think that trailer was good. But the reason I love Batman is all of those things. And to top it off, Batman has the best villains in comic books.
True.
I think Spider-Man has a good rogues gallery, but I think that the Joker, the Riddler, Penguin, Mr. Freeze is a criminally underrated character. His character is so brilliant and tragic, and the way that they did it in an animated series, Paul Dini, because Paul Dini essentially recreated that character. And that's another thing. Think of all the talent that has created Batman stories over the years. And I've always loved him. Whether it's young Batman, old Batman, Batman Beyond. I love the character. Batman number one.
That's amazing. I'm happy for you that you got to get that off your chest.
None of that swayed you?
Nope.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit.
Number one, I will tell you a really funny story. The year that the first Batman movie came out with Michael Keaton, my brother drove me and a bunch of his friends. He made us all T-shirts because he has been drawing forever, and we all went down to watch it downtown Iowa City. I can't remember the movie theater. It's long gone, but we went to see it there, and we got down there and got our places in line like 2 hours early. And I had just recently gotten glasses. I was probably like 12. And I said, hey, I turned to my brother. I'm like, he's been waiting for this for like a year now, ever since it was announced. And we've been seeing like just pictures of it, in the magazines, and the toys are coming out and shit. And we're just like, oh my God, freaking out. Because it's supposed to be really, really good. And I'm like, can we go home so I can get my glasses? Otherwise I can't see the screen. And he's just like he was really, really pissed, and like took me home, and we ended up getting back just in time so we get, you know, snacks and stuff. But that was a really cool movie for me at the time. It was like, it's fucking, you know, it's not Superman basically. But it still holds up. My number one is Captain America. And if you've seen
Boy Scout, real interesting.
Well,
no, I'm just shitting on you. Recently, like you shout out Batman.
Yeah, that's true. Recently, they had a couple of different things where he had the super soldier serum removed, and then he like aged to like age 80. He was killed and then resurrected. The whole Hydra Cap thing can suck a dick.
That was stupid.
It's fucking Nick Spencer. Nick Spencer can eat a fucking bag of dicks. That was
clearly a cash grab. That was
fuck
clickbait.
You, Nick Spencer. You piece
they're like,
of shit.
We need to make sales on
fuck
Cap.
That guy.
Let's do the unthinkable. Let's.
I
make
did a
him
whole
Hydra
podcast on my other podcast about Nick Spencer and how he was like, okay. People who don't believe that the Holocaust happened or whatever had to be taught that by somebody, another adult in their life, like their parents or an uncle or whatever. And I guarantee you Nick Spencer grew up with adults, parents and the like, who didn't believe that the Holocaust happened, and they told him this. So when he came up with the idea like, hey, how about if Cap was a Nazi-loving fucking piece of shit? Let's do it. And it was like, you fucking piece of shit, you know? Like, what a slap in the face to the Jewish community. No shit. No shit. Do you know how controversial it was to have him punching a world leader on the cover of his first comic book? That was controversial as fuck for the time.
I think it's
and
interesting.
Drawn by two Jewish dudes.
I think it's interesting how Cap has changed with the times.
Oh, and during World War II, he was hideously racist towards Japanese people, and by the way.
He had a character named Yellow Claw, or Yellow Fang, or something like that.
Ouch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of racism in Captain America's past.
The only time that I ever paid attention to Cap was Civil War. That's when I actually read some Captain America stuff. I didn't really read... I read that, and... that's about it. I didn't really read much of Cap outside of event books. I've never read any solo stuff.
In the 80s, Mark Grunwald wrote Captain America for a good long time. Great writer. And if I can find any of like his stuff collected, I'd pick it up.
But tell me why. Tell me why Cap's number one.
Get your fingers out of my face. Sorry. Mark Grunwald with a guy named Kieran Dwyer and wrote and created some comic books where Captain America was he gave up the mantle of being Captain America. The U.S. government told him that he had to start doing what they wanted him to do, or else, you know, they were going to fire him. They made the legal argument that Captain America was a product and a wholly owned entity of the United States government, and not Steve Rogers.
Wow.
This is actually stuff that, you know, you should know about because it happened. He's not been Captain America a couple times. That's why when Infinity War came out, people were talking about Nomad.
Yeah, that was
a different other time. That was another time that he stopped doing it.
He was Super Soldier for most of Winter Soldier. He was Super Soldier, Steve Rogers' outfit.
Yeah. Because, what's his name? Yeah. Anyway,
which is funny is I
didn't read those books.
I've never read a lot of Captain America, but I know most of his like different costumes.
So he gives up the mantle, and they hire this guy named John Walker, and he's this guy named agent? Super Patriot.
Oh, when is U.S. Agent coming to play?
He becomes U.S. Agent. Okay. They kill him off because he becomes Captain America, and he gets killed off. It's a fake death,
a false flag,
right? And then they bring him back as a because they have to fire him as Captain America because he fucked up. He killed like a bunch of terrorists like on live TV.
Yikes!
He's a nut. Anyway.
But I like how the government was still like, well, he's good though. He's useful. So why don't we make him U.S. agent?
Well, they killed him and then they wiped his mind, and it's nuts. I don't know how it ends up coming out because I stopped reading after a while.
Sounds pretty dumb.
But it was a really great series and a really great storyline, and it lasted like 2-3 years. And they go and they show Captain America, and he basically just rounds up like the original Nomad, who's a guy who used to play Bucky for him, and then a couple other people. I think Falcon is also with them, and they just travel the country like trying to find something. And he actually puts on the original U.S. agent costume, and he calls himself the Captain. And Tony Stark gives him a adamantium shield that he can use because he had to give the shield back to the U.S. government. And he ends up having to fight Captain America in the nation's capital. And there's this guy named Mr. Smith who's been behind all of this shit since the beginning, trying to get, Steve Rogers not be Captain America and all this other shit. And he confronts Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith blows smoke at Captain America. He dodges it, and it actually gets knocked back into Mr. Smith's face. Mr. Smith turns into the Red Skull.
Nice.
Yeah. And then he ends up getting Captain America back. But it's just a great storyline. And he wrote it for many years afterwards. And there's some really good other storylines that happened with like Crossbones was introduced. Baron Zemo had a great Bloodstone like saga thing one summer. That was really cool. Batroc Z Leaper.
Yeah. This is funny because all those characters were in the movies. Even Batroc the Leaper.
Bullseye had one of the coolest like introductions. He was already a character, but there was an introduction in Captain America into a storyline, and he's in jail, and he's in this completely sealed concrete room with a bed that's a mattress that's recessed into the floor because he can make anything into a weapon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bullseye. And so they show him sitting there, and he gets up and he runs against the wall and like breaks his face and falls backwards. And like the two guards make sure that nothing's going on, and they go in there, and while they're checking him out, he takes one of the teeth that he broke off, he spits it out and like kills one of the guards. And that's how he escapes.
Jeez.
And it's really fucking cool. And that was written by Mark Gruenwald too. Mark Gruenwald. Boom!
Never heard of him.
You fucking should.
You fucking should.
You fucking should. But let's talk about, before we go, real quick.
The Snyder Cut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you just whack off on some film, you fucking douche.
I was going to do my Batman thing, but I'll do that a different time.
No, let's do that.
Nah. I'm too pissed now. I'm thinking about the Snyder Cut. All right. So
I thought you were mad at me. I was
the
like,
Fandom trailer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting choice. So,
is that the right word?
Yeah, I would say. So the trailer opens up. By the way, the whole time it's Leonard Cohen singing Hallelujah to you, which is probably the worst version of that song. And it starts with a shot of Darkseid. Because, see? Darkseid was going to be in Zack Snyder's Justice League movies. See, look. And then it shows you pretty much all the cut footage that, originally was the movie. And then you really get an idea of the scope because you're like, oh, God damn it. This is literally going to be 4 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that HBO Max is splitting it up like a miniseries, so they're going to split it up into 4 1-hour segments, which I was like, why not just split them up in 2 movies? Just 2 hours.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever. Why give me 4 bites?
You're like, whatever. I
shouldn't need to sit through 4 sittings of a Justice League movie. But regardless, I was still excited because I'm a big fan of different cuts of movies. Mm-hmm. I'm not the kind of guy that wants to watch all 7 cuts of fucking Blade Runner. But honestly, I think Batman v Superman, the ultimate cut, the 3-hour cut, is the better movie. It's a more coherent movie. shouldn't been 3 hours.
I don't hate on the DC movies as much as other people do. I really don't.
I don't either. I don't really.
I will say Suicide Squad can fuck right off.
The movie doesn't have a third act.
It can just fuck right off. I'm really excited to see Sean Gunn's
The Suicide Squad.
The cast reveal was fucking awesome,
I can't believe
dude.
John Cena is the Peacemaker.
I knew that already. We knew that already. We knew David Dastmalchian was going to be Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, but Peacemaker's outfit is ridiculous. And I love it.
Peacemaker's cool. Bloodsport is interesting.
It really does. Like, I saw one guy describe it. Looked like it was supposed to be like a 70s war movie. Yeah. And it kind of has those vibes.
That's cool with me.
Yeah, but anyway, the Justice League cut, the Snyder cut. Yeah, I'm a fan of different cuts of movies, so I want to see what his vision really was. Because I do think that DC, Warner Brothers was looking for a reason to get rid of Snyder, and they used a tragedy to do it. And I think
pretty bold. Hot take.
Oh, come on, I think it's pretty honest.
They said, come on,
they said the only reason they released it on time was because they got a bonus if they did. Like, they're pretty open with how fucking corporate they are. And so I don't blame either guy for the movie turning out the way. I didn't think it was a bad movie. No. I thought it was an okay movie for what it was, for a Frankenstein movie.
Like, I get
that you could clearly tell was cut to shreds.
I really get. I totally understand the different, the different criticisms of, like, you know, Henry Cavill's mustache, for instance. I totally get the criticisms. There's a couple of times, but you know what though? When he has Bruce Wayne up in the air above them, when they just, after they fought him because they resurrected him and shit, and he's just like, we, you know, the world needs you, and it like, and he's just like, but they don't need you. Like, that's fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Well, what they should have...
The whole fight scene with Superman is fucking cool, man. When, like, the Flash comes around and he's just like... holy shit, man.
No,
he's faster than I am.
It has its moments, but you could tell it wasn't a cohesive movie.
I just got the vapors.
Because you could definitely tell that there wasn't...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This was a studio that said, we don't want the Snyder cut. Here's the footage we have. We'll do reshoots. Make more.
But you can tell when there's scenes that were still directed by Snyder.
Snyder was still trying to go with his tone, right. And then Warner Brothers stepped in and course corrected because of how poorly received BVS was. But they still used
some of the footage from his time shooting.
But the thing is,
then there's
the song choice,
Joss Whedon shots.
The song
that you
choice
can tell
is what pisses me off. Because the song choice is extremely masturbatory.
It's like the second disc of Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
To play that and then to show this footage as if, we're giving what the fans want, man.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
The Lord has finally provided.
And this is what's been the most annoying thing about the Snyder cut. Snyder is not a good filmmaker. He knows how... Look, he can visually shoot. Like, he could shoot the fuck out of a movie. But that does not mean he knows how to handle themes, character development, a cohesive story.
I liked Watchmen, though.
All of his movies look cool.
Yeah.
Except for BVS, you can hardly see
300
anything.
Looked exactly like the fucking comic book.
It was dope. Mean, everybody loved 300.
Straight ripped from the goddamn graphic novel, man.
But...
Hey man.
So this is why I'm frustrated, because it seems to be more like hard BVS Zack Snyder unleashed with his creativity. And honestly, I can't, other than 300, I think the Dawn of the Dead remake was a okay movie. I think it was
pretty good. I remember that was good.
So he has those two movies
South
going.
Park spoofed it.
To be completely honest, Watchmen isn't bad in my mind. I think it follows the book as well as a movie could. And
you can't really show. I liked how the miniseries kind of,
and you can't compare the
was
two.
Basically totally a sequel to the comic book and not the book and not the movie, because you have to show that. You have to show that giant squid.
I don't know. I didn't really like the squid. Yeah, I preferred the movie ending, honestly.
Well, I understand that, but you've read the book, right?
Yes, and I understand why the squid is there, but I don't like it. I still think it's
shut the.
Watchmen's a weird universe, but
weird.
I'm just saying to play that song and then to have them seem like this is the most annoying process is Zack Snyder and his fans, because those two people are so fucking annoying because they believe this bullshit that Zack Snyder's a good director.
Zack Snyder and who?
His fans.
Oh.
And look, I was someone who was like, sure, release the Snyder Cut. Let's see his version of the movie. But I'm also someone like, he got mad at one dude, Zack Snyder did, on Twitter, a movie critic who was like, what's the difference with the Snyder Cut? They're just putting in old footage? Like, what's the big deal? And then Snyder tweets at him, quote tweets what he said and says, well, you said that the original Justice League, like the theatrical cut, was a Saturday morning cartoon. So maybe that's what you want, is a cartoon, but this isn't a movie for kids or whatever. And I'm just like, you're such a douchebag. You're such a douchebag, Zack Snyder. And you have not earned it. You're over fucking rated, man. And I'm so sick of this shit. And the worst part is he's a stupid child that gets what he wants. He gets to release his cut. Hey, so what if it's good? So what?
So what if it's good?
It still
doesn't take away
it still
who
got
you
put
are.
on HBO Max. They still didn't even have enough faith to release it theatrically, because they could have still waited after the pandemic to release it then, because it's not coming out until 2021 anyway.
No, I don't.
I guarantee they're going to try
to
and theatrically
me, you
release
can't
this.
change it enough. I don't know, man. If you want to include a bunch of dark side stuff, that's cool. But, black suit Superman, whatever. If that's it. I remember I was really excited to see the Batman v Superman picture of Steppenwolf, because it wasn't in the original theatrical cut of Batman v Superman. You had to buy like the special edition or something.
The ultimate
and
cut.
I bought that.
I have the ultimate cut.
Yeah. No,
honestly,
I bought it and I watched it and I was like, I fucking spent how much more money for this? For like 20 seconds of a bad CGI.
And that's the thing.
And
I don't even hate BVS as much as other people.
I don't.
It's not a great movie.
No,
but I think the ultimate cut is a better movie, and it makes it a more cohesive movie, and I kind of dig it. But clearly Snyder wanted to do one character, but he was still saddled up to Superman. And I'm leaning into the mic to say that because Zack Snyder can't do Superman.
No.
And I was actually someone that was okay with him snapping Zod's neck at the end of that movie.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a douche.
Hey, he was going to kill those kids.
This after
he was going to kill an innocent family.
This after he said This after he said Batman is like the greatest because he's got a moral code of not killing people.
But if Batman had to kill someone,
make up your fucking mind.
I didn't hate Man of Steel, and I didn't really hate BVS as much as
Man of Steel. I was really excited for, and it was pretty good. It was a good update.
Yeah. So yeah, fucking Zack Snyder. Snyder Cut's coming out, man. Whether you wanted to or not.
Fucking.
I'm gonna watch it.
Sure.
I'll watch it. I'll give it a chance. What if it is good? Good job, Zach. You finally fucking did.
Give it a chance. You might get a dance.
You failed upwards like everybody else in Hollywood. Good job.
Except for me.
Wow.
I will see you. So we're gonna cut out there.
I think it's time to wrap it up.
Thanks for doing this for me. I think if we get a chance, if we got something to talk about, we should talk about it. Content creators is what we are.
Yeah, guy. Unless it's recording a video.
Still working.
Then we're fucked.
Right.
Anyway, thanks so much for listening.
Yeah.
And giving us your $2 to hear the Bunker audio logs. Thanks for paying us.
If I can figure out what the fuck I'm doing, maybe we can have a video.
Yeah, me too, buddy. I feel your pain.
Son of a bitch.
So, yeah. Thanks to all you patrons out there, and I hope you keep enjoying listening to this show, and you think it's worth your $2. I am one of your hosts, Jake Williams, alongside Tyler Allen. He's yawning. Oh, wow, you're done? You're done with this show?
What are you talking about?
You're yawning over there, man.
Way to go. Nobody fucking knew I was yawning until you said something. We're almost done. Of course I'm yawning. It's 10:45.
Good night, everybody.